If every sports media outlet has 23 hours of the day reserved for LeBron coverage, that doesn't leave much time for anyone else. This is the list of players who are playing great basketball, but not getting the love they deserve. The NBA's most underrated players of 2022. Robert Williams III. When it comes to becoming an NBA player, Robert Williams has won the genetic lottery, standing at 6'10" and 240 pounds, with a pterodactyl 7'5" wingspan and 99th percentile explosiveness and mobility. Williams has the perfect attributes for a modern big. It's mind-boggling to see someone of his size to run, jump, and move laterally as quickly and efficiently as he does. But even though he was a two-time SEC Defensive Player of the Year in college, multiple knee injuries, and a complete lack of outside shot had Williams slide all the way to the 27th overall pick in the 2018 NBA Draft. To add insult to injury, Williams was also quite unprofessional at times, because he was always late to everything. The Celtics nicknamed him the Time Lord. Due to his immaturity and lack of offensive game, Robert barely played in his first 3 seasons. However, in 2022, things completely turned around for the Time Lord. He started playing regularly, and the Celtics coach Ime Udoka maximized Robert's mobility by positioning him at the dunker spots as the weak side defender. This enables Williams to guard the corner 3 and switch on to penetrating guards at the rim, similar to what Giannis does for the Bucks. During one possession, Robert can switch everything and cover all 5 players due to his quickness, size, and enormous wingspan. Time Lord has the best defensive rating in the entire NBA, and when he's the closest defender, opponents shoot less than 36%. If he didn't get hurt towards the end of the season, Williams would be in contention for Defensive Player of the Year. Offensively, Robert is a vastly improved passer, decision maker, and one of the most dangerous lob threats in the league. If you didn't know him by now, pay attention, because Williams will become a household name in the NBA. Dejounte Murray. If any NBA All-Star can walk freely on the street without getting recognized, it's Dejounte Murray. Okay, in San Antonio, I'm sure that people stop Murray and take selfies with him, but when he's on the road, to most people, he's probably just some tall dude with freakishly long arms. Murray uses those arms and his 6'10" wingspan to lead the NBA in steals and deflections. But that's just one side of his game. The Spurs point guard is close to averaging a triple-double with 21 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 9.3 assists per game. Without Murray in the lineup, the Spurs offense is so stagnant that it flows slower than the San Antonio Riverwalk. Murray is an all-star and easily one of the best point guards in the NBA, but he rarely ever gets mentioned by the mainstream media. But that's not unusual for the Spurs and their unflashy ways. They always have players who flew under the radar. Tim Duncan has done it for 2 decades. Beyond Murray, we also have to mention Jakob Poeltl. The Austrian big man, whose name is hard to pronounce, is the Spurs' second best player, and another reason why the Spurs are not at the bottom of the standings. He protects the rim as well as any 7-footer not named Rudy Gobert or Joel Embiid, and he's leading the NBA in contested shots. Poeltl is extremely efficient around the rim, and he is second in the NBA in screen assists, making him extremely valuable for the San Antonio offense. Jared Vanderbilt. We would have put Jared Vanderbilt on the thumbnail if only people knew who he was. There are 4 Timberwolves players that grab all the headlines. Their all-star center Karl Anthony Towns, their high-flying youngster Anthony Edwards, the former all-star D'Angelo Russell, and of course, Patrick Beverley, who is the loudest and is constantly trash-talking his opponents. But this leaves one man from Minnesota's starting lineup largely unnoticed by the general public, and that's Jared. Vando is a 4th-year 6'9" power forward, and he's a Swiss Army knife who does just about everything for the Wolves. The Wolves play a lot of denial defense, based on one-on-one hard pressing and not allowing your man to get the ball. But Vanderbilt plays a denial defense that Dennis Rodman wouldn't be ashamed of, and is among the best ball thieves at his position. Long and athletic, Vando reads the game superbly and is always well positioned. This allows him to play free safety and protect the rim when Cat hedges the pick and roll. Offensively, Vanderbilt does the same glue guy things that he does on defense. He finishes in transition, he grabs offensive boards, and he cuts to the basket hard. If you watch Minnesota's games, it's impossible not to see his impact, because he's all over the floor. Vando is the definition of hustle. His energy is infectious and is a big reason why the Wolves have a winning record in 2022. Herbert Jones. New Orleans Pelicans started the 2022 season with 3 wins and 16 losses, leaving them dead last in the league. But Then, the rookie Herb Jones got inserted into the starting lineup, became the unexpected hero, and the Pelicans started winning games. Jones is a 6'7" wing from Alabama, and in 2021, he won SEC Defensive Player of the Year. Many doubted that he would be as effective against NBA offenses, and because he was a terrible shooter in college, he slid all the way to the second round of the 2021 draft. But Herb has proved everybody wrong, and is arguably the best defensive rookie in the last decade. Athleticism, basketball IQ, timing, and enjoyment to hustle and terrorize offensive players are all attributes that make Jones a nightmare for the offensive players. This is even more impressive considering that he guards the best players in the league. In matchup difficulty, Herb ranks 6th in the NBA, which is an achievement in itself for a first-year player. Whenever Jones makes a defensive stop, the Pelicans' Jumbotron showcases the message, "Not on Herb," and he is slowly but surely becoming a fan favorite. Jones' shooting and offensive numbers are also exceeding expectations, and New Orleans' point differential goes up by 10 points per 100 possessions when he's on the floor. That's more than what Giannis Antetokounmpo improves the Bucks, and what Joel Embiid improves the 76ers, and they are MVP candidates. It might be too early to say, but we'd be surprised if this guy doesn't win the Defensive Player of the Year award in the future. Jaylen Brunson. If he didn't play next to Luka Doncic, Jaylen Brunson would average all-star numbers. In college, Brunson won 2 NCAA championships as a steady point guard who does everything well and rarely makes mistakes. Now in the NBA, he's still doing all those things, averaging a very efficient 16 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and just 1.5 turnovers. But because he plays with Luka, who leads the NBA in usage rate, Brunson's numbers are scaled down. Since Jaylen was bred as a system player at Villanova, Brunson is the perfect complementary guard to Luka, and he always knows when to shoot and when to pass. In the 10 games the Mavs played without Doncic, Brunson averaged 21 points and 7.5 assists per game. Due to Luka's brilliance, Brunson will often stay out of the spotlight, but because he doesn't care and he's a proven winner, he's just the kind of player Dallas needs. Mavs center Dwight Powell has to be mentioned here also. Powell leads the NBA in offensive rating by a wide margin, and he is thriving as a role player in the Luka-centric offense. Ivica Zubac. Some players are criticized for being ball hogs, but Ivica Zubac should actually be more selfish. The Croatian center is 6th in the NBA in true shooting percentage, and in 2021, he led the league in that category. His soft touch around the rim and career 75% shooting from the free throw line suggests that he should be taking more than just 6 shots per game. In January, Zubac scored a career-high 32 points against the Nuggets on a phenomenal 15 of 19 shooting, and we want to see more such games from him. But Big Zoo is a role player who understands that he's playing with superstars like Paul George and Kawhi, and that it's his job to do all the dirty work. He sets hard screens, runs the floor well, and cuts hard to the basket. Zubac is also a very good rim protector, who positions extremely well and is averaging 8.5 rebounds in just 24 minutes on the floor. If he played on a bad team and had the green light to take more shots, he'd easily average 18 points and 12 rebounds. His hard and unselfish play goes unnoticed on most nights, but he's playing great, and that's why he's on this list. His teammate Luke Kennard also deserves a mention for shooting 45% from 3 for the season, which leads the NBA. Desmond Bane. When we're talking about the Memphis Grizzlies, everybody wants to talk about Ja Morant, and rightfully so. Ja has been brilliant all season, and his acrobatics have provided some of the most spectacular highlights. However, Morant has missed 20 games this season, and the Grizzlies have won 18 of them. That's not a coincidence. Taylor Jenkins' team has been flying on all cylinders even without Morant, with the 5th best offense and the 4th stingiest defense in the NBA. They've done it with an all-around team effort. Steven Adams has been a rock in the middle and is the best offensive rebounder in the NBA. Brandon Clark is one of the most efficient players in the league, while Dylan Brooks puts the clamps on everybody in the perimeter. Jaren Jackson leads the NBA in blocks and has proven his potential as one of the best two-way bigs in the league. But if we have to select somebody that really surprised us, it would be Desmond Bane, a second-year guard who improved his scoring from 9 to 18.2 points per game, while keeping the same uber-efficient numbers from last year. He's shooting 43% for 3 on 7 attempts per game, which is the 3rd best mark in the league. He's also 6th in free throw percentage, and it was somewhat of a surprise that he didn't win the Most Improved Player award. Gary Trent Jr. Gary Trent was rarely mentioned when he played next to Lillard and McCollum in Portland. He's now rarely mentioned on the 2022 Toronto Raptors, a well-coached team who is doing everything by committee. Toronto's rookie Scotty Barnes has been receiving most of the praise thanks to his size and ability to guard opponents' best players. Barnes won the Rookie of the Year award this year, which steals the shine away from other Raptors. Pascal Siakam is a former All-Star who is having a career year in 2022, averaging an efficient 22 points, along with 8.5 rebounds and 5 assists. He's doing better now than in his All-Star year, and is hardly getting any credit for it. And Gary Trent Jr. is another example of individual performance getting suffocated in team success. A lot of people notice Fred VanVleet as the star of Toronto's backcourt, but Gary Trent has silently been just as good. Gary averages 18 points per game on 38% shooting from deep, while being top 5 in the NBA in steals. Terry Rozier. In Boston, Terry Rozier earned the nickname Scary Terry, but even though he had some good moments, Rozier could also be scary inefficient, with just 38% shooting from the field in his final year in Boston. Many people were surprised when Jordan gave him a big $20 million a year contract, but Terry has been averaging 19, 4, and 4 for the past 3 years, with a much improved efficiency. Before the start of the season, Charlotte extended Rozier. He signed for 4 more years and $100 million, and even though he's definitely in the shadow of the magical LaMelo Ball and high-flying Miles Bridges, Scary Terry is consistently delivering his share of points. You don't normally think of them, but there are moments in life that are greatly underrated, like the moment when your food arrives, or killing a loud mosquito. Some other players that you don't normally think of, but have played great in 2022, are Wendell Carter Jr. and his efficient 15-10 season in Orlando, Aaron Gordon and Monte Morris in Denver, and Miami's Max Strus.